Polytechnic graduates earned higher starting salaries in 2023, with more in full-time employment. Now, that's according to the latest survey conducted by the 5 polytechnics here in Singapore. They've been working with industry players to tie their curriculum closer to job needs. Here are the numbers polled. 92.7% of fresh grads and those who completed national service found jobs within 6 months of graduation. That's up from the previous 2 years, showing an improving labour market along with Singapore's post-pandemic recovery. 28% of those surveyed are involved in part-time or temporary work, while 5% say that they are freelancers. Almost 60% of respondents secured full-time employment. This group, saw median overall starting salaries increase about 7% from $2,600, that was in 2022, to $2,800 in 2023. The top earners continue to come from health science courses, with fresh grads drawing about $3,000 monthly. Coming in a close second are humanities and social science majors with a starting pay over $2,900. They beat out information and digital technology grads by a hair.
And for more on this, we speak next to Mr. Fann Zhi Jie. He's Assistant Director, Industry and Partnerships Singapore from Singapore Polytechnic. Well, thanks so much for coming in this evening, Mr. Fann. We just heard those rather glowing statistics there, or rather figures from this survey. Yeah. Of course, there's variation, as Don just pointed out, amongst the different sectors. Some do better in terms of finding jobs and pay than others. But if we could generalize without dumbing this down or misrepresenting facts, why do you think things are looking up for polygrads?
Thank you for having me. Good evening. I think now the polytechnics are moving closer to the industry, and industry have a better sense of our students, our graduates, what are their capabilities and their potential. And through initiatives such as enhanced internship, where they are learning a lot more, our industry actually get the opportunity to get to know our students better. So they're willing to invest, hence some of these higher salaries.
Mr. Fann, tell us something about the disciplines or courses that are particularly popular with students and perhaps ones that are doing better than others and far better than others. Is it something that we anticipate seeing, like a trend that it will continue?
Yeah. I think it's cyclical, and from the statistics that you've seen, for example, business tends to be more popular, but of course, when it comes to health science, healthcare, if there's a greater demand, and then for sure, industry partners are always on the lookout for good graduates and are willing to partner and invest in them as well. So I think it's cyclical, and it really depends on what is the industry that is in demand at that point in time.
Right.
Yeah.
But industries change as well, and industries also need to look ahead.
Yes.
So when you plan curricula in polytechnics, is there such a way to plan them so that they meet the needs that you foresee in the future economy?
Yeah. So one way is for the courses to future-proof the discipline. So looking at trends, looking at what the future technologies out there. So for example, the impact of AI and its possible transformation for various disciplines across the board and how that will have impact on the economy. So that could be one. The second way is that in Singapore Polytechnic, we also send our staff for industry attachments to make sure that they're up to date with the latest industry trends, to make sure that what we're teaching in the classroom matches the needs of the industry and potentially future forward some of the possibilities out there.
Could you give us an example of some of those skill sets? I mean, when it comes to that objective of trying to match what is going on, in the various sectors and the needs there, and what the polytechnics can actually offer.
Sure. I think one big push is digitalization. And specifically, for example, I teach a design course in the built environment. So looking at things like building information modeling. And then in the industry, it hasn't picked up yet. but government authorities are looking to make it mandatory, for example, for submissions. And so that in school, we start to teach the relevant topics to prepare our students. So when they go to the industry, they have some of the basic foundational knowledge, and they can help the companies who wish to jump onto this transformation as well.
Right. Yeah. Well, Mr. Fann, you're talking about future-proof. I'm just being difficult here, but in a way, one can never really have 100% proof against what might happen in the future. Yeah. So you're talking about tailoring your courses in the expectation that our economy will expand that way.
Yes.
Is there the danger of getting too specialized in some ways, and then that's all they can do, and they lack the foundational broad-based education that maybe people like me might have had in the early years of our education system?
Sure. I think the polytechnic education has changed. It's I talked about the domain, right? But it has become a lot more porous. So we do have broad-based modules. So we have the common curriculum, called Common Curriculum, and that actually introduces not only new technologies, but other skill sets to our students. So we talk about the T-learner, where you are deep in your domain, but then you're broad enough with other skill sets. So I can have my design students learning AI, how do they tap on big data, alongside business school students. So that's one possibility. In the poly, we also offer minors. You could be a design student, but you take a business minor or a sustainability minor. So that porosity allows students to pursue their interests, but prepare them for a wider range of disciplines at the same time.
So a type of a modular approach for students. How popular is that, though?
Yeah. Currently, all our students in Singapore Poly take 3 poly-wide electives. So this is over and above their domain. So they can choose language courses, for example. Some of them may want to choose business or design courses. So they do have the flexibility to choose. For those who want to have a minor, they take up to 5. And it's quite popular. I think for our minors, we're looking at maybe 10% of the cohort choosing to take on this extra modules compared to their other classmates who are only taking 3.
It's important for them to have that flexibility.
Yes, I think it's so porous now, it caters to their interests and they have that element of choice in their curriculum.
Mr. Fann, thank you so much for coming into the studios and talking to us about this topic. Fann Zhi Jie, the Assistant Director, Industry and Partnerships at Singapore Polytechnic.